Hey guys, Bo here. Welcome to KK9. Thanks for signing up. This is your first lesson, all right? So this is what we call Stations Part 1, all right? This is Lesson 1. This is where we begin building drive, attention, and engagement in your dog. That is the main idea behind this lesson, is building attention, focus, and for you to stop getting ignored. But while we're doing that, we might as well go ahead and create some fun behaviors while we're at it, okay? So the first thing we're going to talk about are the motivators in dog training, specifically the motivators that we're going to be using here, okay? So I'm going to start with that. Now, the first one is attention plus food. Okay, so food is going to be kind of the ending reward, the thing, the period on the sentence that says, well, you just did a great job and you got it. But the attention is the initial motivator. So we're going to sit down. I might have a body language video that you'll see in your syllabus. Click on that. But we're going to sit down, we're going to put our feet together, and we're going to completely ignore the dog. And we're going to look at the ground, okay? Now, when we look at the ground, that's a hint. They're going to look at our eyes, and they're gonna see where we're looking. And then it's kind of funny, some of them look at the ground too and they go, what are we looking for? But what we're really doing is trying to give them a hint. So we just ignore them, no talking, no touching, no eye contact, don't say their name, don't point, don't say, hey honey, down. I know some of you guys already have cues built. Don't use them at this point in time. We're gonna do this in a different fashion, okay? We're gonna ignore them, we're gonna look at the ground. And this sometimes takes a while, but sooner or later, they're gonna lay down. And when they do, we're gonna act as if they discovered something, which they did. They discovered the answer to the puzzle. And we're gonna go, oh, wow, look what just happened. And we're gonna pay with the food, all right? Now, in this way, attention is your main motivation. The dog is trying to gain your attention, all right? You are ignoring it and it's looking at you, it sees the food in your lap and it's thinking, how do I get this human's attention, all right? It wants the food. It knows that in order to get the food, it's gonna have to get your attention. And when it does finally get the attention, the food comes with it. Now, in this specific exercise, the down command is our goal, okay? We're sitting down, that's called the default down. When we stand up, okay, we're gonna have that same body language, feet together, hands at our core. We're gonna be standing this time instead of sitting. We're gonna ignore the dog and just look down. And the dog generally will put themselves right in the way of your gaze because they still want that food. And since your food is up here, they'll look up at you and they'll sit. Oh, you just figured out the answer to the puzzle, and we'll pay them there. So whether it's a sit or a down, we want them to sit when we stand. We want them to lay down whenever we sit. We'll explain those in the videos to follow. We aren't using words to tell them what to do. We're having them look at our body language, and then attention is the motivator, okay? So we ignore them, and then they have to figure out how to get our attention. When they get our attention, we look at them, and we pay them with food. So that's our first motivator, attention plus food, okay? Now the next motivator is motion, all right? Motion plus food, okay? Now what's the idea here? I'm really looking at what motivates dogs and trying to mimic it, all right? Have you ever seen how motivated your dog is to catch a squirrel? All right, they would give up anything to get that squirrel. The squirrel is their version of a briefcase full of $1 million. If we try to give them a briefcase of $1 million, they'd pee on it. They don't care about money. They care about squirrels, they care about rabbits, they care about prey. So I don't think we should be dominant and be the pack leader. I think we should act like prey, and we should look at the squirrel and look at the rabbit and try to take some advice from it and see how could we get the type of engagement that they get, okay? When I call my dog for a recall, I want him to run as fast back to me as he would if he was chasing a rabbit. Most recalls that you see in the industry are really lollygag, super slow. Okay, I guess I'll come over there. I'm sorry, but that's not a recall, all right? So when we're watching the squirrel, we're gonna think, what does a squirrel do? Does a squirrel move towards the predator or away from the predator? Obviously away. The predator chases the prey, all right? And if it catches the prey, well, that prey dies on this day. The predator eats it, kills it, eats it, and it gets fed. So when we move away from the dog and then give it food, a treat, that is the best way we can mimic the action of the predator and prey, okay? We're trying to mimic the action of the prey. So we move away, the dog follows. When the dog catches us, we give it food. Motion followed by food, that is how we are mimicking the squirrel. You see our motto up here in the corner, be the squirrel, okay? What do I mean by be the squirrel? It means never ever move towards the dog. Systemically move away from them and make them follow. Don't go to them, okay? Every single exercise inside of my method here, you will notice we're moving away from them, never towards them, okay? Now, the next motivator is the fear of loss. What happens if you do not catch the squirrel? If I'm a predator and I chase the prey and I'm slow or he gets the jump on me, I'm gonna lose him. He's gonna go into the bush, up a tree, he's gonna throw acorns at me, I'll never see him again, okay? So the fear of loss is the fear of failure. But when the human does it, it has a little more potency. When the human ditches the dog like the squirrel would, you're gonna trigger separation anxiety. So in this way, you can actually be more potent than the squirrel because the squirrel is just prey drive. I catch it, I don't catch it. Even if I don't catch it, we had a good fun romp, a good fun chase. That was a good time. But if the dog chases the human and the human wins that race and ditches it, leaves the room, goes out the front of the house, leaves out the fence gate, and the dog's left alone, you're gonna trigger separation anxiety. Separation anxiety is what it is because when all dogs have separation anxiety. And the reason for that is because when you separate yourself from the dog, you are splitting the symbiotic relationship that keeps that dog alive. You are the anchor to that dog's survival inside of this world. And so it triggers a much stronger feeling than just prey drive. It's prey drive mixed with separation anxiety. And so this fear of loss, think of it like the lost kid in Walmart, okay? So if your dog thinks that you're not important enough to pay attention to, ditch him. When you come, act like you're gonna go get the mail. Head out the front door, go get the mail. When you come back, he's gonna be glad that you're back. You will have re-triggered your engagement and you can get right back to work, okay? So, if you really think about it, these three motivators, I really like to use my be the squirrel analogy. I think it's a little more fun. But what I'm really doing is exploiting the things that the dog naturally does. I'm watching what the dog does and using it, all right? If you guys sit on the couch with a bag of popcorn watching television, okay, he sits there and stares at you and wishes that you would stop watching MacGyver, look at him, and give him some popcorn, okay? He works to get your attention and your food. When you guys move from room to room, they follow. You ever notice you go upstairs, they go upstairs. You go downstairs, they go downstairs. You go to the kitchen, they go to the kitchen. You go back to the living room, they go to the living room, they lay down and they wait there while you're hanging out in the living room, okay? So we're just using these things to our advantage. Same with the fear of loss. Every single time you leave the house, they hate it, all right? They want to be with you. So we are using the natural behaviors that the dog already does, and we're gonna just organize them in our favor, okay? So, moving on, all right? I mentioned that earlier that when we sit, we want them to lay down, okay? And so I will make little bitty videos that you'll watch after these that tell you how to do each one of these little behaviors. But for now, I'm just gonna get through the kind of main scope of this. So we're gonna come up with a circuit. The first one, and it doesn't have to be the first one, you can start with any of these. Okay? It doesn't have to be in this order. But the human is gonna sit in a chair. Okay? Now, to start off with, I don't recommend the kitchen chair at the table because I don't really want to encourage any begging at the table. We're gonna teach a place exercise for that later on. I also don't recommend the couch because a lot of you guys let the dog on the couch, and so the couch is going to directly compete with this. So go get any random chair anywhere else in the home. Could be a patio chair out back, could be a folding chair that you just put in the middle of the living room. If your dog doesn't get on the couch though, then the couch would probably work just fine. But any other chair will work. You just want to make sure that they aren't getting up into the chair with you. So the human sits in the chair, and then we're going to wait. We're going to ignore the dog until he lays down. Once he lays down, we're going to give him the attention and the food. Then we're going to move to a new station. When we get here, the human is going to stand. Okay? And we want the dog to sit. Okay, so what I'm saying is we sat down, the dog does the down, we go, oh, and we pay, then we zing over here to another one, and we stand. Okay, so we're sitting here, feet together, hands in the middle, the dog sits, oh, we give him the attention to the food, then we move to the pet bed. Most of you guys have a pet bed. This is where we're going to teach the dog to place in this introductory exercise. We just need him to get all 4 feet onto the pet bed. We just need him to get on there. We don't need anything other than that. Okay, so when he gets onto the bed, so we'll walk over to the bed, feet together, look down at it, stare at that pet bed. He's going to want to put himself inside of your gaze so that he can get your attention and food. We're going to make our marker when he gets on there, oh, and give him a treat. Then we're going to head out to the crate. Okay? A lot of your guys are already crate trained. We're just gonna make it a lot more fancy and make him really love his crate. So we get out to the crate, we throw some food in the kennel, feet together, throw some food in the kennel, he goes in to get it. While he's in there eating it, we're taking off, heading out to our next station, which is our 2-foot aerobic stepper, okay? We call it the 2-foot stepper because it's an aerobic stepper. They're round, you've seen them. People do workouts on them and such. And I just want the dog to put his 2 feet on there. That's gonna increase, as we move along, we have a lot more things. We're gonna use that for healing. We're gonna use that for recall. So make sure you get this stage done. Don't skip the 2-foot stepper. Some folks say, what do I use instead of a 2-foot stepper? I don't have an aerobic stepper that I can use. I have seen people use a textbook, like an old dusty college textbook that you never opened. You got to get your money's worth on that thing. I have seen folks use a board game, like Game of Pictionary, or a little seat cushion, small one. They need to be small because we only want them putting 2 feet, not their whole body on it. Folks use a footstool, but footstools are a little taboo, or can be, because sometimes they wobble. They're real loose, and if the dog, whatever you do use, can't wobble. It can't crumble under the pressure of the dog. It needs to be sturdy. I've seen folks use certain types of Tupperware containers flipped upside down. If I was doing it outside in my backyard, I might do it on a brick, okay? But the point is that it can't move. We only want his 2 feet on that aerobic stepper, and then we're coming right back here to sit back in the chair and do the down, and it's a cycle, okay? A cycle. You're gonna get the behavior, pay the dog, and move. 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 And what this is me trying to help you move like the squirrel. Motion away from the dog follows, and then he gets food. So what we have here is food, and then motion, and then 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 food, and then motion, right? Now, you guys are all gonna be very satisfied with this when you do it. It's a lot of fun. The dogs love it. The humans usually love it. You get perfect engagement, perfect attention, and it builds drive in the dog for the work. All right, now what we haven't talked about yet is this fear of loss, okay? For a lot of you guys, for some of you guys, this is gonna come in a lot, depending on the dog, but some of you guys, the dog's gonna be so into the food that it's not even gonna be a thing that you practice, but I do find it very important to add this into the training process a few times. So let's say that there's a window over here, and your dog, you're standing trying to get him on the 2-foot stepper, and he goes, this is super boring, I'm out of here. I'm gonna go, or maybe he hears a knock or sees somebody walk by, okay, and then this is a dog, by the way, it's a wiener dog. So maybe he sees somebody walk by, he runs to the window and he starts barking at whatever he sees. Maybe there's a squirrel out there. Okay, so this is him barking out the window. You're standing here at 2 foot stepper wishing that he'd get on there, and then you've lost his attention. Now what you possibly could work is just to head back to the previous station, and a lot of the time that motion will grab his attention and then he'll follow you, and then you're right back to work. If that doesn't seem to work for you, then you're gonna head right up. This is gonna be your front door here. I'm gonna draw a little doorknob, okay? So if you have tried this motion away from him to get him to one of the previous stations and he decided that what was happening at the window was cooler than you, then you're gonna head, you know, like he doesn't follow, then you're gonna head right out that front door, shut the door behind, act like you're going to get the mail. You guys ever gone to get the mail? Takes you 30 seconds, you come back and the dog acts like it's been 3 weeks, he hasn't seen you forever. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, I'm so glad that you're back. That's engagement, that's attention. Use it, okay? Head out, act like you're going to get the mail. He's gonna miss you. When you come back, he'll be happy that you're back, and then you can zing right back into your circuit and get right back to work. So anytime that he disengages, you can re-engage him by leaving the home and coming back. Sometimes it's as easy as going to the kitchen and coming back, but with some dogs that aren't real drivey, you gotta actually leave the house, okay? I don't get as much value going to the bathroom and coming back or going into the bedroom and coming back. They don't seem to miss me enough. Leaving the house triggers that engagement a lot more. It's a lot more strong of a technique, okay? So once again, I'm gonna do another video on markers because you need to understand the markers. And I'm also gonna do a video on every single one of these stations so that you know exactly how to get each of these stations, okay? Hopefully this helps. Enjoy.